Well, first of all, I want to start with I've seen the short that this was based on. How did you go about it's a great short, by the way. How did you
Thank you.
decide to add the level of autism in there and that character with autism? What brought that on?
Yeah, sure. So thank you about the short, first of
You're
all.
welcome.
The short itself is about technology and like a monster that sort of talks to us through technology, right? And I was trying to think of a character who sort of, who would be the worst person for that to happen to, right? Because in horror movies, you want it to be like the worst moment in people's lives. And at the same time, I had long been sort of trying to figure out a movie to include a character with autism in, because my wife actually works with kids on the spectrum. So I've had a window into that world for many years now, and grown such an appreciation and love for these kids. And learned so much about the community. And so like those two things came together and I was like, oh, like the perfect character for this movie is a kid who's nonverbal and needs his devices to communicate with the world, and like how awful if those devices turned on him. So that was the seed of the idea. And then of course we did a lot of work past that to sort of make the character feel authentic and real.
I was gonna say there's a lot of stuff you get right. There's the whether it's the speech therapy, whether it's all these things, all these levels. I'm very aware of. Let's just say, is it tricky to take something as serious, that affects people's lives, like autism, and put it in a horror movie setting without kind of diminishing the seriousness of it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's a great question, honestly. And so actually something that was really important to me because, you know, we've obviously had plenty of characters with autism in movies before, but they tend to be sort of about the fact that the character has autism. And for me, I really love seeing characters that are very different from myself, interacting in otherwise sort of typical worlds, right? And so having a character with autism at the center of this, but not making it a movie about autism, was a big goal of mine. And because I mean, kids and adults with autism, like that is one very small part of who they are as people, right? Like Oliver as a character, yes, he has, that, but he's also like, he's so well-meaning, he's intelligent, he believes what people say, he is, has no guile, like he's a character that's so much more well-rounded than just being someone with a label. So putting him in a movie, that's a horror movie, it's like I just treated him like any other character because he's just a person.
Yeah, it's easy to like go, oh well, let's have this. He has this, so we need to push that, and that does happen way too often in horror, in films in general, I think.
Yeah.
What was talk about the design of the creature, because this is a really cool, freaky, terrifying guy named Larry. Where did this come from?
Yeah, so the true story is that I used to make this haunted house, and one of the costumes I had made for the haunted house was this big, tall creature. It was like a stilts costume, long legs, long arms. I used to get up on the stilts and scare people. But then when I made the short film, I like had that costume laying around, and I was like, let's put that in the short film. And so really it started from sort of a pretty like garage homegrown place, and then kept expanding. And then when the Jim Henson Creature Shop got involved and was making this big practical puppet with me, I kept just pushing this idea that like I wanted him to feel lonely and sort of broken, because he's broken on the outside as much as he is on the inside. So it's almost uncomfortable for him to move around. And really the puppeteers did such a great job, like taking that idea and making him move in such an interesting way.
Yeah, well, I love the reaction and the idea that they're both these lonely people. That kind of, there's an interesting dynamic there, which is you play around with a lot, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
That was that true? You found the right kid. How did you find him, and how did you know he was the right one?
Yeah, I mean, so actually, it was Steven Spielberg that first shared with me an audition tape of Azhy. It was for another movie he was auditioning for, and he was like, "You got to look at this kid; like he'd be perfect for this movie." I mean, that audition was amazing, and we still sort of saw several hundred kids for the role, but it kept coming back to Azhy. I mean, he's so in touch with his emotions. He has so much empathy, and really like that was what I was looking for. On top of somebody, I was a child actor myself, so you know, finding somebody who had as much joy doing this as I did as a kid. You know, you never want kids to feel like they're working; like you want it to be a big fun experience. And just all of that together, like Azhy was the absolute perfect actor for this, and I can't imagine the movie with anybody else.
He just wants a friend.